Basically, food is eaten for nutrition. There are several factors when we talk about food. The first thing is food is edible stuff. Eat whatever you want to eat. Eat and see. The taste of the pudding is in the eating. Eat what you want. If you are able to digest it, assimilate it, excrete it, that's good for you. Some food stuff for some people cannot be digested, cannot be assimilated, cannot be excreted, so it results in sort of gastrointestinal disorders, constipation, allergic reactions. Then those food stuff is not good for you. Maybe it's good for somebody else, but not good for you. So that's one of the criteria of deciding which food you should eat and which you should not eat. Very ordinary explanation for what food is. The second aspect of food is its nutritional aspect. Now, when you go to the nutritional aspect of food, your food must be balanced. A diet must be balanced because you eat food so that the body gets nutrition. That's the basic purpose of eating food. The body needs nutrition, so it needs a fair share of carbohydrates, proteins, minerals, with vitamins, roughage, So many factors are there. But now one must make sure that you have a balanced diet. Why should you have a balanced diet? Too much of one thing will not be able to provide the nutrition required by the body. Now, if the body doesn't get its required nutrition, the body will fall sick. Now, that's how you decide on a proper balance of carbohydrates, proper balance of proteins and minerals and vitamins, roughage, sufficient quantity of water. Hydration is also a very important factor in your body. So all this is to be taken into consideration when you're talking about food. This would keep you healthy. This would keep you active. This would keep your body in the condition that it will be able to perform its everyday duties. Another aspect of food is the taste. There are several aspects to this. This is not such a simple question to answer. Now, many people try to take a singular point of view. Singular point of view, yeah, for some people, maybe they don't think beyond that. But when you ask a person like me, then I must give you the spectrum of what it is. Another aspect of food is the taste. Now, taste is very important, though it may not provide any nutrition. Because most of the tasty stuff that we eat is high carbs, high fats. And high carbs and high fats can help you put on weight, High carbs and high fats will cause you a lot of distortion in your development of the body. Because you will eat it at the cost of proteins, you will eat it at the cost of vitamins, and it's no good for you. If you have it balanced, very good. So taste is a factor very much under consideration. You don't eat food for nutrition. Though food is supposed to be eaten for nutrition, most people eat food because it tastes good. One must be rational. You must use your rationale and decide how much of what goes in so that totally you eat a balanced diet. Taste is important. Now many people say, no, I eat non-vegetarian food. Coming to the point of vegetarian, non-vegetarian. I eat non-vegetarian food because it is very tasty. I don't eat vegetarian food because it is not tasty. It's bland or it's drab. There's only limited taste, which is a complete misnomer, right? If you travel in the Western countries, the non-vegetarian food that they eat, you would want to even have it on your table. We Indians have such an elaborate palate. We have all the tastes that we have. In fact, our culture tells us that all the 7 flavors, all the 7 tastes must be there in your food. Yeah, those fellows eat bland food. They eat boiled or steamed, and then they put pepper and salt on top of it. And it won't go down your gullet. Whether it is vegetarian or non-vegetarian, it doesn't make a difference. So, there's no standard rule there's no thumb rule that non-vegetarian food is tasty, and vegetarian food can be made tremendously tasty. After all, the variety of vegetables that you get, the variety of fruits that you get, the variety of leaf that you get to eat in a vegetarian diet, there is no comparison. You got 4 or 5 meats that you eat. Doesn't matter whether it is vegetarian or non-vegetarian. You can adapt it properly to suit the taste. So taste is a very big factor, and taste has nothing to do with vegetarian or non-vegetarian. So vegetarian food being bland or drab is not a truth. Non-vegetarian food being appetizing and not drab is also not the truth. It is what the additives that you put into it that makes it, and those additives can be used universally. Now, let's come to the topic of the morality, the vegetarian and non-vegetarian morality. Many people like to believe that there is a moral high ground when you eat vegetarian food, and there is a moral low ground when you eat non-vegetarian food. We'll come to the point of the degree of morality a little later in the talk. But at the base level, when we are talking to general public, no, people have different levels of development. Okay, some people's consciousness is developed to one extent, some people's is developed to a higher extent. We cannot use the criteria for a people with a higher development of consciousness and try to apply it to a person with lower development of consciousness. And so it won't work because it doesn't appeal. And it's not appropriate either. So, let's see. Food is eaten for the energy. Why are you eating food? So that you get energy. Now, what is energy? Energy comes from the sun, it comes from the air, it comes from the earth. There are three sources of energy: the sun, the air, and the earth. The plants, they receive energy directly from the sun, from the air, and from the earth. They process it, make hydrocarbons out of it, and that's what we eat in fruits and vegetables and leaves and plants and whatever we eat, vegetarian food, tubers and bulbs, and everything is made from hydrocarbons. So this is processed directly. So primary source of energy is the cosmos. The secondary source of energy is the plant. The plant uses very little of that energy for its own upkeep. Of course, it requires energy for its own upkeep. It has to grow, it has to grow leaves, it has to grow flowers. It uses some of the energy, but a lot of energy is still available because it has just taken so much energy, and this is perennial source of energy. It's perennial. It never gets over. So you took some, you're still taking more, and still more, and still more you can take. So you spend as much as you want, doesn't matter, it will still get energy. So when you take out a fruit or a vegetable from the plant, when you disconnect it from the plant, it's like killing the fruit. No, it's like killing the vegetable, it's like killing it, because it is not disconnected from its source. Still, it has so much energy in it that when you eat it, there is a large quantity of energy available. Now, what happens to the animal? The animal, for its existence, eats these plants. It eats these vegetables. In fact, all the animals that we eat in a non-vegetarian diet are plant-eating animals. We don't eat carnivorous animals. We don't eat carnivorous animals. So, the plant-eating animals eat plant. The plant got its energy from the cosmos. The animal takes the plant, it eats the plant. It cannot take the energy from the cosmos. It has not got the process in its system. So it eats the plant. Whatever energy is there in the plant, it absorbs that energy. Then it has a complex digestive, assimilative, excretory system. Very complex, far more complex than the plant. Therefore, a lot more of energy is used in processing the whole thing. No? And for his existence, for his activity, he has to move so many, he has to run so much, he has to feed, he has to find for food, he has to do all sorts of things. So a lot of energy is expended. So what's left in his body is a very minuscule, very minuscule quantity of energy. Now you eat that animal. You may get your proteins and your fats and your carbs from it. Definitely you can get them. But how much energy do you get? Already is a depleted energy. Then you have a more complex lifestyle than the animal. Then you use up the energy. What is available to you? Very little. Extremely little energy. So fundamentally, when you eat vegetarian food, it's a donor of high level of energy. So if you eat food for the energy content of it, because that's what you eat food for actually, primarily. Though most people don't even realize this concept. So primarily you eat it for energy. The energy is large when you eat vegetarian food. When you eat non-vegetarian food, it is very, very little. So which one would you prefer from the energy point of view? Definitely the vegetarian food. Now, if vegetarian food is made tasty, so even that argument is lost. That it's not only non-vegetarian food that is tasty, the vegetarian food can be made equally tasty or more tasty. The variety in vegetarian food is much, much larger. The variety in non-vegetarian food is much lesser. Availability of vegetarian food is more abundant than the non-vegetarian food. The farming of vegetarian material is much easier than the farming of non-vegetarian food. So from all these points of view, definitely vegetarianism scores over non-vegetarianism. Still, we have not touched the morals. Yeah. Now we'll come to the morality. There is definitely a morality. Where does the morality come from? The morality stems from the fact that the human being is evolving. And in the process of evolution, his consciousness heightens. Once the consciousness unfolds or heightens, he becomes more and more aware. He becomes more and more aware of what he is doing, what he is contributing. Because what is the thumb rule for a person who is spiritually evolving? The thumb rule to judge how much a person has spiritually evolved is how much he is contributing to the welfare and well-being of his fellow beings. The fellow beings, not only human beings, the animal world and the plant world and the mineral world. How much he can sustain his life in a proper manner without over-exploitation. Of course, nature has given this to you for your use, but you use it properly, not over-exploitation. Like you over-exploit anything, the resource becomes nil. You are the person who will suffer most because at the end of the day, you will have none of these resources available to you. So that is the level of development. That would be the thumb rule to assess the level of development the human being has come to. Now, if that is the case, to eat an animal, you have to kill it. You can't eat it live. If he's live and you eat it, still he will die. So an animal has to be killed. The fish has to be killed. The fowl has to be killed. Now, when you kill an animal is quite a developed consciousness. The factor that the animal has, which the plant does not have, is the factor of the emotional body. And what are the two major factors that has developed there? Is fear, pain and pleasure. Now, if you kill somebody, what will he experience? He can't experience pleasure, right? He will experience pain. The moment he experiences pain, he goes traumatic. That trauma translates into certain enzymes, translates into certain hormones that get collected in the flesh of the animal. That is the consciousness of a dead meat. That meat you eat. So what are you doing? You are causing pain, you are causing trauma to the animal while you are killing it. Do you think that if your consciousness has developed to a certain extent, would it permit you to do this? When it is your duty to take care of the well-being and welfare of the animals, not to cause them pain and discomfort, not to cause them trauma. So, here the morality comes in. I have to still say, this morality has to be realized, not dictated to. This is very important. It has to be realized. It's a realization. If you go and tell somebody who has not even gone to high school or who is in high school and not come into even secondary school, if you go and tell him the formula of E is equal to mc square, if you talk to him about the Einsteinian theories, if you talk to him about the theory of relativity, or you talk to him about quantum physics, will he understand? If you talk to him about calculus and, differential calculus, no way. Why? Doesn't mean that calculus doesn't exist. Doesn't mean that Einsteinian theory does not exist. No. He has not developed his educational level. His education consciousness is at that level. He knows addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. He can't think beyond that. Even ordinary trigonometry is beyond him. So, in such cases, there is no sense in talking to him on this subject. You have to tell him or guide him within the framework of his understanding, within the framework of his consciousness. You can always inform him there is a higher consciousness and you must try to attain to that. That is your level of development. So you are here, of course you are here, but try and move towards attaining that consciousness. In that consciousness, eating non-vegetarian food is not good. Clear? Okay. So, the morality comes in from this plan. Now, with this morality, if you think further, vegetarian food, you also cause a little bit of trauma to the vegetarian food, the vegetable kingdom. But they don't have a developed nervous system. They have instinct. In the plant world, there is instinct developed. So the plant world develops form and instinct. So form and instinct. So instinctively they know that something is not right. So they get a little bit of shock. That's it. So there is a shock. But you must understand that fruits and vegetables, even if you don't pluck them, they will automatically fall off the tree when they are ripe. So it is not something that really drastically affects their consciousness because they know that someday it has to fall. But you have plucked it a little earlier to that. So that's fine. There is a little trauma. But it is a much lower level of consciousness and much lower level of trauma. There's only shock. There is no real trauma. There is no pain. So you're not causing any misery. And when you will pluck the fruit or the vegetable from the plant kingdom, you are helping it to grow more. You are not taking the life of the plant. You are taking only the fruit of the plant, the produce of the plant, not the plant itself. You allow the plant to grow more, to give you more food. So there is a vast difference between the conscious trauma that you cause to a vegetable and the conscious trauma you cause to an animal. Therefore, it's very less trauma, very less harm, very less violence that you do when you eat vegetarian food compared to when you eat non-vegetarian food. So better, from the moralistic point of view, what happens is that you do less immorality by eating vegetarian food and more immorality by eating non-vegetarian food. So there is a virtue in this. The virtue is loving kindness and non-injury. Loving kindness and non-injury is one of the primary virtues for any spiritual attainment. If you don't have this virtue of loving kindness and non-injury, you cannot attain to any level of spirituality. In the Indian context, we call it ahimsa. Though many people would relate ahimsa to not harming your fellow being and not thieving from the fellow being, not making somebody broke, that's ahimsa. Yes, at one level. But ahimsa also means thou shalt not kill. Not only human beings, not only your fellow human beings, but also the animals. Don't kill. So, there are several aspects to this subject of food and several aspects even to the subject of vegetarian and non-vegetarian.